A new episode, a fresh, new-looking, clean Boba Fett. One of the most surprising twists in the new episode was to see Boba Fett had repainted, refurbished, and cleaned his armor, looking almost as good as Din Djarin. I'm just kidding, of course. I'm not going to go into the debate of who looks better, Din Djarin or Boba Fett. Of course, I'll leave it to you guys, so go ahead and type in the comments, Boba versus Mando, but in the fashionable sense. What we're here to talk about today is that despite Boba Fett, after what looks like decades, went for the trouble of cleaning and refurbishing his old armor, the dent on his helmet is still there. That is one of the only things that remained, just like the old Boba Fett helmet. Every other part of the armor looks fresh. Boba Fett's appearance in The Mandalorian so far has been a turbulent one. It seems like Boba Fett just plopped into the show. The Mandalorian series as a whole has yet to explain how Boba Fett survived from the Sarlacc pit, aside from a simple line about destiny intervening, but he has been reunited with his iconic armor, and right now that's all we have to go on. That was his only mission, as it seemed from Tython. His only mission was to regain his armor. I proposed a while back the idea of why didn't Boba Fett just go after Cobb Vanth? It's not like he didn't know about Cobb Vanth, because in the Tython episode he literally mentions his name. One thing we know for sure, since his years during the original trilogy where we first saw him in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, which were one of Boba Fett's first appearances, his armor has been beaten up, downtrodden, and just acidically worn down. Partly because of the wear and tear before he fell into the Sarlacc pit, as we discussed in yesterday's episode. He wore the gritty armor as a reminder to others that he is a true warrior and he will fight to death. This was a sort of a sign of respect. But after the armor seemingly went through what's inside a Sarlacc, and from what we know, inside the Sarlacc pit you will decompose for a millennia. From what to a human is an eternity, basically. By the time we see the armor on Cobb Vanth and now on Boba Fett, after it went through the Sarlacc pit as well, you can barely recognize the colors from all that erosion. Of course, one thing that remained true was his dent. It never went away. This erosion and corroded armor remained the same until we saw the last episode. Episode 7, The Believer. The Mandalorian just revamped Boba Fett just like that. His appearance was now unlike anything we have seen before. A fresh coat of paint and refurbished, cleaned just as new. But again, the dent remained. That episode did not even address Boba Fett's new look. Cara Dune, Din Djarin, nobody talked about the fresh new look of Boba Fett, so there is no explanation given in the episode itself for the dent that is still there, even by Boba Fett himself. This leaves, of course, us the viewers to speculate why everything else was cleaned off, but the dent wasn't. One main reason could be that the armor is practically made out of Beskar. In canon, it is not clearly defined whether Boba Fett's armor is pure Beskar or mixed Beskar. But whatever the case is, the Mandalorian series has repeatedly shown the strength of the Beskar steel. Din Djarin constantly goes chest first against blaster bolts. That's how powerful it is. And the armorer had to use an extremely hot, specialized forge just in order to melt it down and construct it into something new. This leaves us with the thought that Boba Fett, from the time we saw him on Tython and now in episode 7, he was able and had the time and ability to repaint and clean his armor, giving it a fresh look, but reforging his helmet or reconstructing that part in order to remove the dent would definitely have been more challenging with Beskar. This is more of a practical reason of why the dent wasn't removed. Now we can move to another reason, which always needs to be considered, of course, and that is an emotional reason. From nostalgia to allegiance. You see, one of the reasons he did not want to reforge or add Beskar to this helmet was because this helmet once belonged to his father, who was killed by Mace Windu on Geonosis, and that was Jango Fett, of course. Who can forget the iconic shot of a young Boba pressing his head against the helmet of his father? Many of us remember how Boba got his dent, how However, many forget that that is not officially Star Wars canon. Dave Filoni tried to explain how he got the dent in the Star Wars The Clone Wars, but that episode never made it to air. It was one of the unfinished ones. In that story, a young Boba Fett comes face to face with fellow bounty hunter Cad Bane, and in that standoff, they shoot at each other with Cad Bane's shot hitting Boba Fett's helmet and knocking it off. This shot put a dent in Boba Fett's helmet. So again, that's why I say it's an emotional one, because it might be a combination of he doesn't want to tamper with his father's helmet, but also he doesn't want to forget his mistakes. Him letting Cad Bane get close to him and allowing himself to get shot like that, this dent served as a reminder to never repeat that mistake again. And you see gradually what Dave Filoni is doing with Boba Fett in the Mandalorian series. He's doing something that he didn't get the chance to do in the Clone Wars series, which we talked about the unfinished episode. In that episode, Boba Fett was slowly getting redeemed as a younger man. Dave Filoni was showing that in his younger days, Boba Fett was still trying to do the good thing at times when the opportunity presented itself. He wasn't entirely evil, as it was portrayed to be in the original trilogy. It seemed that Dave Filoni was trying to say that Boba was this naive kid that got into bad ways through his father being a bounty hunter. And unfortunately, he entirely lost his way when he grew up and started working for Jabba the Hutt and the likes of Darth Vader and people like that. But the Clone Wars being cancelled back then left Dave Filoni with not being able to tell that speck of a story back then. Now with The Mandalorian, there is no doubt that Boba Fett is trying to do the good thing. He's trying to redeem himself, and I don't think we can ever see Boba Fett from the same lens as we did previously from the original trilogy. He is not a villain or an all-out evil person. He does his job. He does what he has to do, similar to how Din Djarin approaches his thing as well. As per usual, the answers are plentiful and the reasons are more than we can imagine. These things leave off an aura of mystery around them that the fans have fun decoding. Just like myself and my channel, I see a lot of you guys are passionate about this, and of course this is what unites the fandom, us talking about things that we have no clear understanding of, but it is fun all in the same. And so this is why I encourage all of you to talk to me and everybody else down below in the comments. Why do you think Boba Fett cleaned and repainted his entire armor from top to bottom, but did not cover that dent? And it seems he did not even attempt to. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up down below. Subscribe for dailies. Now you have an awesome day, Star Wars fans. I'll see you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. Until then.